Welcome, my friend. You are here for a treat. I'm Gabriela Mueller Mendoza, communications coach, trainer, international speaker, and your coach. If you're watching this, it's because you have already been a participant with me, either in an in-person training solution or perhaps in an online session. Either way, this content is going to help you complement the learning and remember some of the tactics, techniques, and tools that we learned together. Please use them outside your comfort zone. After all, remember, comfort zone is where your dreams and my dreams go and die. This is why I want you to continue to be in the learning zone, in the growth zone. Don't expect to master all these techniques and models right away. In fact, what I would suggest is pick one or two and consciously be working on them. Proactively bring them alive in your meetings, on your email, over the phone, in conference calls, in networking events, in little encounters with other people. Remember, choose consciously what you're going to be working on, whether it's your body language or the words you use, maybe the projection of your voice. Any of these models is going to help you simply achieve one thing and one thing only, is to raise the perception of both competence, likability on the other side. Either or, you are on your way to become the best communicator and leader you can be if you're watching this video. Enjoy it. Fasten your seatbelt. Don't forget to connect with me on social media in any of the social media channels where you live. And let's connect and share quality content. Enjoy the ride. Welcome. You might remember that I mentioned this in the course. About 60% of the entire effectiveness of any message depends on your body language. Exactly what you're doing from head to toes. And it impacts the way people will receive and understand your message. It needs to match the emotion, the words, the message, all together. You bring it together, and 60% of those is what you do with your body. And this is why I want you to consider that in your next presentation, you're not only going to focus in your PowerPoint, you're also going to focus on how you're going to say it. So there are 5 things that I want you to recall about powerful body language and gesturing. Number 1, you want to have a relevant movement with your hands or your gestures that signalize the important content or the concept that you are expressing. And it needs to match. Ideally, you'll have about 12 to 15 good gestures that in your business area would be very useful. For example, imagine that we're talking about a conflict, a problem, or a challenge. Very similar concepts, right? And instead of using a very abstract movement with your hands, what you want to do is to come up with something that really brings the message in only one movement that is very strategic and very clear. For example, we have a problem and a challenge and a solution to overcome it. You see that? How beautiful it is, right? It matches the message and you look cool and collected. That's great. The second thing that I want you to remember is you gesture and you move slowly. You don't want to do this very quickly. Look how that. No, you want to do this in a way that it's clear, it's only one movement, and you slowly bring them down again, right? That's the second rule. The third rule that I want you to remember is observe my hands as we gesture. Instead of gesturing in a very abstract, ambiguous way with your upper fingers, what you want to do is fingers together about somewhere, the size of a TV screen in front of you, above your waistline, and certainly in a straight way that you can control as if you were watching in front of you a screen. That's the area in which you're going to effectively gesture. And this is why you want to use your fingers together because, again, we're going for clarity, visual clarity as you move your hands, right? That would be number 3. I want you to remember the fourth. The fourth has to do with movements that are very deliberate. For example, a timeline. A timeline can go like this: January, June, December. You see that? How my right hand, which is the first one that we use, and the way we start gesturing always from right to left, stays here and moves as I'm speaking, right? And of course, it matches. If this is January, this is June, this is December. Okay? Very good. When you list things, this is the last thing that I want you to remember. Whenever you list anything and you express, for example, a number, an idea, you want to gesture away from your body, ideally forming an L with your arm. That means instead of saying, I have 1, 2, or 3 ideas, what you want to say is, I have 1, a 2, and a third idea. And it doesn't really matter what finger comes up. The idea is you are clear, cool, and collected, right? And what you're doing by having your elbows away from your body, you are signalizing the sign of confidence. And by the way, people ask me this last one all the time. Hands down, hands up, up. Because you want to show, not only if you are giving a presentation, but also people in the meeting, your palms. This is an international peace offering. And whenever I see your hand like this is an invitation. This is transparency. This is trustworthiness. This is, I don't have anything to hide. And yes, I invite you to use this in a deliberate and purposeful way in your meetings. Also online. The only one rule of thumb online is you don't want to signalize towards your camera because then it changes the way the perception of your camera, especially if you are in one of those Zoom, Skype meetings. What you want to do is to be away. Your camera is eye level and gesture whenever possible with your all the way waist up in a portrait way with this level of openness, right? I want you to consider this so that you look confident, competent, cool, collected, and simply you are sending the right message for you and your people. All right, so I leave you with that. And the next video, we're going to talk about one of those other aspects that makes the difference between people perceiving you the way you want, competent, cool, collected, approachable, or not. All right, so practice at least one of these 2. Be empathetic with yourself. Don't try to do it all. Just pick 1 or 2 to start making a difference. Of course, words matter. Of course, content matters. Sometimes it's about 10% of the communication if you do have the visual and other elements to complement it. Though, let's face it, sometimes you are left only with words, whether it's on an email or simply sometimes on the telephone. Sure, you can use the power of your voice, though words matter. And there are a few things that I want you to remember about words. Words can play a role in the way you are being perceived, whether it's open-minded or simply you are being perceived as not empowering, positive, enthusiastic. So your choice of words do matter. So here are a couple of thoughts that I want you to remember after our training. Words like perhaps, possibly, maybe, sorry, try, disclaimers, you know, the type of things that make you sound that you're not sure about yourself, you should avoid. Because you can say it with very decisive body language, but at the same time, your words need to match the strength of your message. So I want you to remember words like let's. It's a very action-oriented, assertive way to move into action, for example, to put your words out there. Instead of being apologetic about bringing maybe perhaps a possibly good idea, you might say things like, so here is a thought with an assertive body language, or simply a suggestion. Here is my idea. You see that what you're doing is that you're bringing it with enthusiasm. You don't want to sound arrogant or anything, though you do want to sound like you know what you're talking about. You know where you're going with your words. Don't be apologetic, meaning you want to avoid starting your sentences with anything that sounds like this. Sorry. Sorry, I have a question. Sorry, can I have a coffee? Sorry, I have a good idea. You are being over-apologetic. That really doesn't help you sound competent, and after a while, sorry completely loses its meaning. If you do make a mistake, though, you want to offer an apology. And of course, you can use the word, exactly, apology. And finally, I want you to use more open-ended questions. The type of questions that have the letter W in English. What, how, when, who, why not? Those are eliciting more open conversations and simply better opportunities to listen to people, right? Instead of leading questions that are only yes or no, closed-ending questions. All right, so I leave you with that, and I hope that you remember all the things that we learned in the training and the presentation, whether it was in person or online. Let's connect on social media, and for more resources, GabrielaMueller.com.